Alright, sorry guys, I didn't have the camera underneath there with me because it was too dark for you guys to see anything anyways. But basically what the guy that, or whoever owned this truck prior, they just put a rubber hose line where the lift pump was, and my return line was leaking. Well, that's because where they put the rubber hose, it didn't have a barb on it. So it wasn't actually really holding anything. I'm surprised my feed line wasn't leaking, and by some miracle. So we went ahead, we cut that, we pulled the lines out, they're over on the other side of the truck. What we're gonna have to do to get the factory lines out is the AC has to come off, and the vacuum pump has to come off, and the power steering. All that has to come off to get the factory lines out of there. What we're gonna do that, I'm probably gonna go ahead and replace my water pump. Like I might just rip in here and replace the water pump and do that. And then I gotta get a straight fitting so I can attach these two right here. This is where the pressure regulator was. This is the return line for that. That's gonna come out. The original feed line that was going into the block down in there came out already. But I'm gonna bridge these together for now because you don't need to ever. It'd basically be like having a CNC fab kit where there's just the 4 lines going in, except for mine just has 2 lines going in. Then bridge these together. I'm going to eventually put a CNC fab kit in here once I'm ready to pull the cab up and replace the gasket on the back side of the turbo, fix whatever that is, that orange gasket maker, clean it up properly, redo this, and I'm going to put an intercooler on it. But we're going to do the CNC fab line kit when we pull the turbo out because it'll be right there and easy to do. We'll have access to the lines, super easy. Might as well just go ahead and get it done. So we're going to do that when we get to that point, but for now we're just going to bridge it together. It should work the same, no problems. Those without a fuel bolt delete kit, the Fass plugs into the factory lift pump, or for the lines on the opposite side of the factory lift pump to allow you to use your factory lines. Excuse me. That's what these are for. They plug into the factory lines on the after side of the lift pump. I don't have that, so I can't use those. So there is that. So right now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pull off our pump here, which is really hard for me to get the camera in there for you guys to see. So that won't be on camera. It's just 1/2-inch bolts for mine. Pull them off there. We're gonna pull it out, pull the filters off, and then we're gonna go put our fast filters on, and we're gonna figure out where we want to put the kit at. That where it fabs up well, and then that way we can run line to the return port on the back tank, and because we don't need it anymore essentially, right? Because we're going to be putting in a return port when we put in the sump. So the return on the sending unit's going to be our from tank to tank transfer, and then the out of the back pump or the back will be through our sump, so we don't really even need the feed line for it. But that's how we're going to do that. We also got to pull the sending unit out to make sure that it's still good because my back tank gauge isn't working. So we need to do that. But yeah, that's where that's at. So it's actually not too bad. Coming along pretty well. I need to get it hooked up, and then we're gotta get the back tank drained out because I'm pretty sure there's fuel in it. Unless it was drawn from both tanks, which sometimes happens. That's why when I flipped it to my rear tank, the truck would die. At least that's what I think. I don't really know yet. So we'll figure that out when we pull the sending unit out, though. And then we'll kind of go from there. So, yeah, let's get started on. We're going to pull this off here, and then I'll show you, turn the camera back on when I get ready to fab it up for you guys. Alright, so we got that off there. I'm going to show you guys a little something, though. See how he's got the water separator and the fuel filter, then the pump? No. That's going to cause this to work twice as hard because it's having to drag through two filters instead of pull through one, push through the other. So you always want the water separator after the pump and the filter before, because you don't want any particulates going through the motor. But you put this before, then you put the pump in between, then you put this after the pump. That's exactly how we're going to set it up when we hook it up on the frame. Because this is just not bonita. Try to avoid doing this at all costs when you guys set this up for yourself. If you do a system like this, okay, put this in between here. The water separator after the filter before it. Because that's probably why I was having some pressure issues to begin with, is this is probably starting to die out, or like it's having a hard time. It's working a lot to push through this. So don't do that. Put the ones in between. Also, my wiring is covered in diesel from that fuel leak. But yeah, so we're gonna try to put that. I'd like to hook it up right here where the bag tank's at. But I think in order for me to do that, I'm gonna have to drop the bag tank out of it to do that. So we might try to find a different spot for it, but I would have to figure out where I'd want to hook it up over this area, because I'd want to put it on the underside here, the back side of the frame, and not on this part of the frame, just because you have all this spring movement and everything right here, and also the axle movement, so I really don't even want to put it there. So really in reality, the best spot would probably be somewhere along that side there, or maybe even hooking it up over here somewhere. But that is something that I'm gonna have to figure out. I might actually throw the front tank back in just so I can see what space I have for me to do this. So let's kind of get it mocked up in a way and figure that part out. That's gonna be kind of a fab job in a way. Alright guys, so we're gonna do this kind of weirdly, but you'll see why here in a second. So I'm gonna mount the Fass right here. I'm actually gonna put this brake line, or the parking brake line, there's two spacers that go here and one that's gonna go here, and then I'll put this in between the brake line and this bracket, and then the other bracket holding the Fass. I don't want to hook it up to the bed because I've never liked just one bolt holding my Fass, so I'm gonna put the rubber piece on the back of this, and then a rubber piece, and then basically that should keep my space. Let me all right, there we go. All right, so basically if I bring this out, put the spacer behind it, put my bolts holding it, and through the frame, this is now solid. I don't just have one bolt that's out holding it here. I've got an actual mount. And then we'll put our Fass over this. There's spacers, we'll make it so this runs through the spacers. Right here, that gap is where that line's gonna run through. Just like I said, because I don't like putting it in that one hole mount on the front, on the bed, I take the beds off my truck quite often to work on them, especially since like that truck's getting a whole race kit put underneath the back of it. The bed's gonna be on and off of it. I just want to do that. This truck, I'm gonna be doing new fenders, new paint, stuff like that eventually. Having the frame done. Again, the bed's gonna be off the truck all the time, so I'm not hooking up to the bed. And also, as time goes, the rubber bushings in the Fass wears out. You know, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, yeah, technically, you know, they don't last forever. So if it lasts 4 or 5 years, that's awesome. But they wear out, and I don't like it. So that's how we're gonna do the Fass on this side, because we're gonna give it a nice solid mount on the frame. Now for the other side, we are doing, let me grab my light. We're gonna put the filters and the pump on the other side, because I don't have any room or real estate left on this side. And I don't have, even if I were to put a bracket, which I'll show you in just a second, on this side to facilitate that, one, the tank is going to be in the way, the front tank, and we want to keep the front tank, and the axle. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the pump right here in the center, and then water separator filter. We're going to run our line across that cross member into this side, and then we're going to run a line, the return line, across that cross member, and then through the back into the return on that tank. And the reason we're going to do that is because, one, the tank takes up half the space. Two, I've got a drive shaft and an exhaust pipe here. So even if I were to build a bracket going across, these filters would end up touching that drive shaft. I hit a bump or anything like that. I don't have the real estate there. And I have a big rear tank, so I can't put them, you know, back there. And I've got my exhaust pipe here, and I can't put them on that side over there, because if I hit a bump again, when my spring, or if I'm even loaded down, my frame is going to get lower and closer to my axle. So I run into the risk of hitting it over there. But if I put them mounted up high on the frame here with the Fass filters, you're not going to, like, see when I hold this one up to here, in comparison with the body line, it's about an inch above the body line, so it's not going to hang. So we're going to put it in on this side, and then that way I can still maintain a transfer tank pump from the front tank to the back tank. And then also that allows me, when I have the 100-gallon reserve tank in it, to go directly gravity feed into my front tank, and that way I can transfer over, and that front tank is going to give me an extra 21-gallon on top of the 100-gallon reserve tank. So I'm going to get 121 gallon out of just the reserve tank of my front tank. And then when I switch this out to the Bronco tank in the future, that'll give me another 33 or 38 gallon. That'll put me at over 150 gallons worth of fuel that this truck can carry, which will be awesome for when I'm hauling the race truck over there, or the street beast, whatever you want to call it, because it's not going to be a full-on drag truck. That'll give me the opportunity for that. So that's how that's going to happen, and this will do that for me, and it'll be easy to access to swap out my filters. The pump goes bad, I need to replace the pump. I can do all that very easily on this side, just as easily as it's accessible on the Fass side. So it's kind of a win-win all around in that regard. So that's how we're going to do that. We're going to keep nice hidden. Our wires will route back to the other side with the frame, like tucked into the frame, and we'll wire them into the front. And we're actually going to put them, not connect them to the Fass, but wire them in with the Fass wires going all the way to the front. That way it's nice in one strand of wiring going all the way to the front where it needs to go. And it'll be super simple, super easy, low maintenance. So that's going to be the goal for that. And then hopefully this spring we'll get the frame on this truck done, because I'm tired of looking at a mildly rusty frame. And then we're going to, news update, I ended up looking at some axles. We're going to put a Super Duty axle in this from a 99 and above for disc brakes. And because we're going to put a 4-inch aluminum, one-piece aluminum drive shaft in here. But that'll give me disc brakes. And then that way I can get rid of these pesky drum brakes. But yeah, that's where we're at. So we'll hop into that. I'm gonna start doing the holes and everything, mounting up this transfer pump, and then I'll drill the holes for this, and then get it mounted up, and then I'm gonna work on the Fass, and that's probably where we'll end up calling it for the night, or the day, I should say. So let's get started on that and get to it. So we got this side all mounted up with our new filters from Fass. We just gotta get lines hooked up to here, which I have also from Fass. They sent me a bunch of 3/8 line, which is perfect for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna drill the holes and mount the Fass on the other side. So let's get over there and get that done. Alright guys, so my camera died while I was trying to get all this set up, but here we are. The Fass is in. This is the parking brake. It does clear when I push the parking brake all the way in. It actually needs to be adjusted further this way anyways, because my parking brake's a little loose. We're going to angle our line down just about like that, or we might actually flip up to the top and over is probably what we're actually going to do. But that's the Fass installed on this side. I 4-bolted it to the frame using the main mount with the L part on the top here, kind of like that. And then my cable runs through the spacers. This allows me to it'll barely be exposed off the body line, just enough that you'll see like about from the Fass down. That's about it. Hopefully, at least that's the goal. I really wanted to kind of get it up more, but I couldn't unless I mounted it to the bed, which I said earlier I didn't want to do. So that's that side mounted up, and then obviously we got this side done over here as well with our transfer pump and our 2 Fass filters. So now it's just about hooking up the lines. We're going to start on the transfer pump side tomorrow, get the lines hooked up to the transfer pump, get the lines off the rear tank, pull the sending unit of the rear tank, figure out which line's which, figure out why my sending unit's not working to tell my gauge what the fuel level is, and then get the wires sent over at least to this side, so that way when I start wiring in the Fass, I can route them all together all the way up. And then we're gonna pipe in the Fass as well at the same time as we're piping in the other side. Get all the piping work done except for from the Fass to the front, just because I gotta pick up some stuff for that. And then get all the piping back here done, everything finished, cleaned up, wiring mess, whatever might be hiding in there. There was a lot of messy fuel lines where it looks like it was leaking, and somebody cut the leaking part out and then spliced in with a piece of hose. Please don't do that, guys. Super not recommend it. Yeah. So anyways, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna go in and have dinner. We'll finish this up tomorrow. Hope you guys are still staying tuned. And like I said, I'll put a part to the install portion of it where you guys can fast forward to that point. I'll type that in the beginning, so that way you guys can get to this point where I actually installed the Fass, and then we're gonna put all the tubing on, or the fuel lines on and everything, and I'll talk you guys through that. All right, have a good one. All right, guys, so I spent all morning kind of messing around trying to get the lift pump situation to work. I had a hard time actually getting fuel to the lift pump to keep the air out of the system, try to get air out of the system. So I ordered a sump, because that way when I fill it up with fuel, all that pressure is going to push the fuel into the line, no problem, right? So I went ahead and ordered a sump, just a Beans mini sump. So it's only about yay big. They're not very big systems. We'll put that on the front tank, and we'll route it all the way over to the side to the transfer pump. But for now, we're gonna get the hole drilled and the Fass sump put in on the back tank, with the return line and the feed line put through the frame rail, and we're gonna get it over and mounted up on our Fass for now. So that's kind of where we're at. Like I said, I spent all morning messing around, trying to get that lift pump situation to work on the other side. I thought it was just bad or broken or spilling fuel on me. It still sounds like it's working, and it worked to get the fuel out of the truck. So I don't know why it's not working to put fuel into the other tank. The only thing I can think of is it's not getting enough pressure on the feed side from the tank, or it's getting air, so it's not actually sucking. So I gotta figure that part out. I gotta get this thing fuel so I can see it even move fuel, see if it does that. So that's where that's at. But yeah, let's get started on the Fass and getting the sump all mounted up. Well, fun fact, folks, I am not going to be able to put it in my back tank, because the spot in my back tank is not big enough to put the sump from Fass, because the sump from Fass is too wide, and there's only about a 3-inch square. You need at least a 4 to 4.5 to make it work, because it wouldn't have sealed around the rubber gasket on the Fass sump. So right here, it would have stuck out on the 4 edges because it wasn't big enough. So I'm not gonna be able to do that on the back like I hoped. I probably could if I went with like a Beans or somebody who makes a smaller sump, because Fass is actually a pretty large sump for the most part. But we're not gonna do that, just because I already ordered another sump. I don't need to order 3 sumps. So we'll put the Beans one back there, and we'll use that as my transfer tank. As of right now, we're just gonna put it on the front tank and call it a day. I don't really have a choice anyway, so yeah, there's that. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put it right here, because even right here in this low spot, it's not good enough, which is only like a 1/2 inch anyways. So I'm not too worried about it there. It'll be fine being right here, and I don't really let my trucks go below a 1/4 tank anyways. Even if it was below a 1/4 tank, it'd still be fine here. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and put a hole in here where I'm gonna put my hole, small hole, because there's still some fuel in this tank. Not a lot, just a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my hole drilled so I can drain this guy out. here today. So I found this, which you need if you have this style. Not the best shop light, but if you have that style with the lift pump or the factory mechanical pump deleted, you have that in your value, the Y coming off the back 2 lines into the back of the head. And you go to install a Fass. This is the fitting you need. And this is the part number for it. So if you want to pause that for a second so you guys can get that fitting. I got this at Napa. So we're going to thread this in there so we can hook up our Fass line. And then I got this, 2 of these, and a bridge for in between so I can connect the the factory feed lines, which would be these 2 right here. And that's just temporary until I get my CNC fab block installed. I had to pull the turbo out and everything to do it, and I already had to pull it all apart eventually. I just don't want to do it right now and dig that far into it. And then this would be the factory return line, so I'll have to pull the whole front of the motor off to get rid of that. But it's just going to sit here non-functioning for now, because I'm going to pull the front of the motor off when I go to replace the water pump, hopefully in the next few videos. Not that it's leaking, but I'm going to get it pulled apart because these engines will start to pot the metal behind there. Now I want to get it pulled apart so I can see if I need to hook up like a filtration system or anything before it gets too bad. Also, I'm going to relocate the heater core hose that comes off the top of the alternator over to the side, hopefully, because this is just butt ugly. So yeah, that's kind of where that's at. But as for right now, we're just going to leave that in there because I'm going to pull the whole front of the motor apart to do like intercooler and all that kind of stuff. So I'll save that for another day when I'm not doing it twice, essentially, because I don't want to do it twice. That's where that's at. We got the Fass itself hooked up. Let me whip out my phone light for now. So we've got our Fass sump with our feed line coming up and over the frame, and our return line going up and around the body mount. That way it doesn't pinch on anything with flex, and then coming down into our return port on the sump pump. So now we just got to take our feed line and run it all the way to the front. And then we also hooked up our return line to the return part of the tank from our pump system over there, routed it this way. Luckily, the bed doesn't actually sit on anything in here, so that's a good spot for it to sit. And then I ordered a Beans mini sump for that to mount to that tank to go into the pump over there for my transfer tank system. So that way, this return line will just basically fill into the top of the tank here. And then that way, I have a lovely transfer tank from the back tank to the front tank. I was going to do it the other way around, but I didn't have a big enough space for my Fass sump. So that's about all we got left to hook up. For those that are wondering how easy it is, it's pretty easy. I mounted mine on the frame here. Most guys are going to mount theirs underneath the cab. I mounted mine this far back because I was originally going to use the back tank, but the way that the back tank is set up, you cannot use a Fass sump. If you go with a smaller sump, like a 3-inch sump, you can use the back tank because there's a little square on the back that you can use. I could not utilize that, however, so that's where that's kind of at for now. But yeah, so basically you just got to hook up the feed line. So I'll get the camera set up here so you guys can see that. And then I'll put that fitting on, and then I'll start routing my hose. The only thing that I am doing that I don't like that I'm doing temporarily is this fitting right here to bridge the 2 half-inch hoses that Fass gave me together, because they didn't send a long enough line. To be fair, it's going on an OBS truck, and that was the excursion kit, because they don't make a kit for the OBS trucks. So now I have to stick 2 of my 5/8 lines together, which are my half-inch lines together, and I kind of hope that's long enough. We'll see. And then that should be the Fass all hooked up, but the wiring harness, which will be super easy. I'll go ahead and show you which one to use. This 15 right here would be 1, 2, 3 back. You can use that. That'll kick on when the key kicks on. That is where my old the old e-fuel kit was hooked up. So you can hook that up direct there. So when your key turns on, your Fass will turn on. This is super easy. It plugs in, then you run the wiring all the way up. And then you've got your 3 wires here. Your green, I'm pretty sure, is your ground. And then red is power in and power out. One goes to the fuse block. The other one goes on the battery. So super easy, super simple to hook up. Like I can just route the power wire that goes to the battery here and hook it onto my battery, no problem. Very well hidden, and it's good to go. So that's kind of where that's at. And then I'm gonna hook up my e-fuel kit to one of the other ones that only has power when the key's on. That way I can hook that up to a switch, and then when I hit the switch on, it'll send power out to my pump. And that way that's controlled by a pump, and I don't have to hook up a relay system because it's already gonna be hooked up for me in the fuse. That makes sense. So I'll just find another one of these that comes on with the key on, and then that'll send power to my switch, and then on my switch, when I hit it on, will send power to my transfer pump. So that's kind of that. But don't forget to comment, like, subscribe down below. Don't forget to check out the website, guys. Check out the merch options that we got. Trying to get some of that stuff flowing and some brand awareness put out there. So if you guys want to support the channel, that's the best place to do it. And I'll get the camera set up and run you guys through this the rest of the way, and then I'll make a short on how I installed it, or showing how I installed it all in just one trick once it's all done. That way you guys can watch this video and that short. For those that are just trying to do it themselves, they don't want to sit here and watch a 20-minute video, they can watch a 3-minute video on how I did it, so they can see how to do it themselves. That's what I'm going to try to do with a lot of my stuff. That way you got a fun video to watch, and then you have an informational video that's super easy to go over to and just be like, oh, that's quick and easy, got it. It's all right. Let's get to it. Alright, so we got our wiring all pulled through. This harness is a little bit on the long side, so we're going to shorten it. But first we're just going to plug it in and see if it works first. I have it coming up through the side here on the inner fender, up underneath the 2 plugins that go into the firewall next to the FICM. And it goes down and around and then into the frame rail, so you can't actually see any wiring there. Run it all the way across the frame, back to here, plugged in up and over the top of the frame, where the frames, this isn't gonna, the bed's not gonna meet it at all. Here we go. Better lighting for you guys. So that's kind of how that's plugged in there. And then same for the feed hose, which would be this hose right here. Goes running all, goes up and over the frame, and then runs all the way up through, down through here. I know you guys probably can't see that too well. It comes down through here underneath, and then comes up underneath the cold air intake, and then I have a zip tied to the AC line here, the AC hard line, or the line that goes to the AC compressor down into the valley there, plugged in. So this is a temporary job. Like I said, guys, this right here is just a little temporary fix until I get the turp to take all this off, to clean the whole engine bay up, and to put that CNC fat block in there. Because we're going to intercool it, fix the exhaust leak, fix this. We're just going to do a lot, and I'd rather do all that at once than do it twice. So, you know, for $5 you can do something like this if you need to, if you're waiting on a part or whatever. And then this harness, like I said, is super long right here, so we're going to shorten it and then one part, the part that plugs into the fuse here, we're gonna plug it in. The one part's gonna go on the battery here. And we're gonna have our relay that's gonna be tucked up underneath the fender over here, right underneath here. And then that way, it's all out of the way, good to go. Nobody can see it. And then we'll have a Fass hooked up. So that is installing a Fass. I'm gonna continue the video with cutting this. If you wanna see how to shorten your Fass wiring harness, I'll show you guys that. Feel free, like I said, can't say it enough, comment, like, subscribe down below. Please check out the website for any merch and support the channel. And if you want to see other things done, please comment those, so that way maybe we can get around to it. I got a guy who wants a video on how to make horsepower with Cummins. We're gonna do that with that truck. Over there, we're gonna basically step by step on how much, like what you need to make what power levels. So that's that. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So let's get to continuing this off, finish shortening this up, and then let's see if the Fass works. All right, guys, so we got our green hooked up to our ground. Our big red, the green and the big red are together, hooked up to the battery. Now we just gotta cut and shorten this guy up because it's like 10 years long, and plug it into a fuse in here. Ford at this point in time did not use small fuses. These are the bigger fuses, and even in the cab they didn't use this type of fuse. So the one that Fass supplies you with, this guy right here, isn't going to work. You're going to have to use the one that takes this style of fuse, the bigger fuse here. I forget what the direct name is for it. So I got to go grab one of those to put that on. And then we're going to use number 15 right here. Or not number 15, but the 15 amp fuse, which is the third one back right here. That's the one that we're going to use to get this puppy installed. And then we'll be able to see if it works from there. Yeah, so we're going to put some fuel in it, and we're going to get this cut up and shortened up, and we're going to get some stuff in it. The reason I didn't want to completely route this yet, but I did anyways, is because I've got a wire, a power wire that's going to be coming up from the pump, this pump over here on the passenger side, coming up and around and up and through into here to plug into a fuse. That way I can also plug it in, or plug it into a switch, and then that switch is going to be powered by a fuse. That way I can turn that transfer pump. This is actually the factory, well, not factory, this is the 99 to what is it, 99 to 2003 7.3 or 2007 lift pump that I'm going to use as my transfer pump to save some money. Basically what they did is they used that 99 to 07 lift pump to make an e-fuel kit for the OBS 7.3. It worked, but a lot of supply issues because they stuck two massive filters behind it, so it's surging at the upper RPMs. Hopefully the Fass gets rid of that, and we can continue on with life. So let me go grab those parts, parts store. Be about an hour because it's a 30-minute drive one way, and then we'll get that hooked up so you guys can hear it turn on. All right, guys. So we got our fuse hooked up to our wire, so we can close that box. I had this out so I could test which one was a non-constant versus a constant to verify. Ground wire, positive wire hooked up to the battery, and red, green. I have this tucked in here for now, so it's hidden. And then I just have the one wire coming here, and then the one going into the fuse box there. Try to keep it as hidden as possible. But in here, key on. Yep, Fass is running, so we're good there. Now, oh shoot, it's pushing. Lots of fuel everywhere. All right, well, all the air out of the system. And everything is also absolutely covered in fuel. So that's gonna have to dry for a couple days. But it works! And it works good! Whoopsies, I forgot to tighten that one up. But I'm gonna tighten that up, and then I'm gonna check for leaks. And then the next thing I have to get started is mounting all that up. So I'm gonna get to that after I finish this. So let me get this hooked up and then we'll go from there, guys. Alright guys, well, we got the bed of the truck back on. Fass is fully installed. And she kind of hangs, but she's further in. So it's not like hanging here, it's, you know, it's on the frame. So, you know, from a distance, you know, you're about there is about how much it's hanging. So it's not bad at all. And then for our pump on the other side, for a transfer pump, we still have to finish hooking it up, but I'm like putting stuff together. I just kind of stopped doing that to get the bed on. You know, those aren't visible at all. So, you know, it's not gonna be like people are gonna be like, oh my god, you have a gazillion Fass filters, what's going on here? You can't see these suckers. So this I like a lot just because those are really hidden. And then the Fass on the other side is really not so visible. I tried to get it up as much as possible, but being on the frame, there's only so much I can do. So that is that. Yeah, that's how you install a Fass on your OBS 7.3. I'll have a little short down below. Super easy to do, guys. Don't overcomplicate it. I will make like a 2-minute short that you guys can see over here, and then that way when you guys are doing this, you can go watch the short if you need to go back and watch anything, or kind of just like do a walkover with it, and then go from there. You don't have to take the bed off the truck if you don't want to. I did. You guys can see I did it with limited tools. That's basically that, you know, that's on up to you guys. So yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe down below, and don't forget to check out the website for any merch in the bio, like the shirt that I am currently wearing. And y'all have a good one, and stay tuned for some stuff for that. I'll let you guys know that I just spent about $7,000 in parts for this bad girl, and just engine parts. She'll be rowdy, so stay tuned for that. We'll go over like a second gen swap, manifold swap, and stuff like that into there. So yeah, all right guys, y'all have a good one.